In this exercise, we'll be controlling this armature, which is a series of nested movie clips, one inside of the other, and we're going to use these three sets of buttons to start and stop each individual element, if you will. So this could be the upper arm, the lower arm, and maybe the wrist and hand, if you will. All right, let me do a test movie and just demonstrate how this works when it's completed. And it starts with all the armature pieces moving, and I'll stop them one at a time. Stop the green, stop the red, and stop the yellow. And each one can be started individually and uniquely with the start button for the appropriate color, as demonstrated here. And the second thing we're going to work on today are these faded buttons. So you'll notice when I roll over them, they fade up. They're partially translucent and they fade up to full opaque. And when you roll off, that's what makes them special, is they fade back to their original state. All right, so we're going to create those. In fact, we're going to just create one, and we're going to use the tint feature to change the colors on the other instances of that button, and we'll also give them unique instance names for the coding. So let me close this now, and I'll just quickly show you the armature. If I highlight it here, it does have an instance name, green arm _ MC, and if I double click it and go inside of it and highlight that movie clip that's nested inside of arm, I've got one called red _ arm _ MC, and these are the instance names that I'm calling out here. And then the final one here at the bottom of the pile is yellow _ arm _ MC. Okay, so we have this movie clip inside of this movie clip inside of scene 1. Okay, I'm going back to scene 1 here. Let me just show you the code quickly as well. I'll go into my actions. And the main code here is in frame 1 for the movie controls. Basically, it's called dot syntax. And we're just going to apply a click command to each button. And when it's clicked, it will control, in this case, that movie clip. And to get deeper, so you see here we have a play to start it, and stop to stop it. And those are the two different buttons there. If I go down to the next level to the red buttons, you see that we use the dot syntax, and this movie clip is inside of that movie clip. So the dot, whatever's on the right side of the dot, is contained inside of what's on the left side of the dot. And ultimately, the play command is executed on that movie clip that it's closest to. Okay, and as I go down here, you see we get one level deeper. So we start with the green arm, and ultimately to control the yellow button, or the yellow arm, we go down through the red arm, and the yellow is inside of the red. So the yellow is inside of the red, inside of the green, and we have to indicate it with the dot in between each instance name that it's nested in. And ultimately, again, the command at the end of the line. So we have a start, a play, and a stop. Right, so that's how the armature is controlled. Let's go inside. I'm going to close this here. Let's go inside of one of these buttons, and I'll double click it. Now each one of these is a button in a movie clip, just to be very clear. So at the top level, these are movie clips. Inside of there, I have 3 layers. I have the button animating on the layer called animation, and it starts, and I'm using a motion tween, and it starts with an opacity setting, in this case 24%, and it ends on that same opacity setting. If I move my playhead to the end to align with this keyframe, the same percentage as it started with. In the middle, you see a keyframe here. That's where we change the alpha to 100%. So if I drag my playhead across, fades up, and again, this is based on a mouse over. I'll show you the code shortly. But it fades up when it's triggered to play with a play command. Then it stops here. There's actually a stop command in this frame. That's when it's reached its full opacity. Then we have what we're going to apply, which is a new event, which is mouse out. When we mouse out of that button, declared with an instance name, we are saying go to and play at this keyframe with the label called go back. So it plays out and it goes back to that level of opacity. And then it comes back to the beginning, and there is a stop command on the first frame. So it will resume its rested state, which is 24%, until we mouse over it and trigger the playhead once again. Okay, so that's how these buttons work. And that in a nutshell is how it works.